A landlord contacted me today because he had a tenant that he went through an eviction process with who completely destroyed the space upon them vacating that unit. So let's talk about tenant selection process and what can you do to try and screen your tenants that are coming in. So for starters, I am looking at this from a commercial real estate perspective. I'm not a residential broker, although my team has done some residential leases. Our expertise is really on the commercial side for retail, office, and industrial spaces. So to get started, we look at things a little bit different than you may on the residential side. For starters, we're usually asking for financials from that tenant. If Especially if it's a existing tenant where they have multiple years in business. What I want to see is at a minimum 2 years of financials, preferably 3 years or more. And on those financial statements, usually you'll see profit and loss statements and maybe a most current year-end balance sheet. And on that, I think that I would push even further. I would ask for CPA certified tax returns just to verify everything. Initially, you could have the P&L statements, but at some point, you want to see and confirm and validate that what they said is accurate there, right? So sometimes it's easier just to push for those at the beginning than it is later. The other question that comes up is when? When should I be doing this, right? If somebody's contacting me, they're asking, hey, can I come tour your space? You're not going to tell them, well, you need to send me your financials, and then we'll let you in. No, you're going to lose tenants left and right if you do it that way. So there is a process to this, and I think the process that I have learned and feel is efficient is once a letter of intent is presented and you're reviewing the letter of intent and you feel like you're at that point where, okay, we can move forward to lease agreement, well, let's get a review on those financials, right? The reason why I'm doing it then is because hopefully that'll give me enough time to review the financials, ask any follow-up questions that I need before I engage my attorney to draft that lease agreement. And now I have costs going into that, right? If you get the lease agreement drafted, comments and everything are going back and forth, you're paying your attorney for that review, and then you find out that their financials aren't what they said they were, well, then you're out some dough potentially. So I would say that sweet spot is between that letter of intent phase. And for some of you, you might be doing that earlier, especially if it's like a request for proposal, an RFP. You might be asking for those financials before you release that RFP, right? Because you want to know the strength of the tenant. You want to know who they are. Do they have other existing locations? What's their experience in this space? And the list goes on. So always get the financials. And if it's a startup, then I would ask for personal financials. I would do a background and credit check as well on that owner or owners of that business. And I would even ask for bank statements, right? If they're coming in, they're going to be paying a significant amount in rent. I want to make sure that they have the capital there to get this business up and running and really have the cash flow there to succeed in that space. And that's perfectly fine asking those questions. The next step, or another step you could do, is asking for references. Now, I realize, you get the 3 references, and it's probably like their best friends, that they've known for their entire lives. Maybe it's a distant cousin with a different last name, like, maybe it's a past employer or whatever, or current employer. I would probably weigh heavier on like the employer references. But I'm also looking, are there any past landlords, right? It's easier when you're working with an existing business that is relocating or they're in expansion mode and they have multiple locations, because I have a point of reference where I can go and check with their previous or current landlord and ask them, how are they as a tenant? Now, you may need to tread lightly with existing landlords if they are relocating from that space. I would probably ask for permission from the tenant. Hey, is it all right if I reach out to your previous landlord before we contact them? Just because that landlord could be completely caught off guard, as well as you might be bringing a competitor into this equation. Once that landlord finds out, oh boy, they're moving. Why? Is it because of rent? Okay, well, maybe I'll drop my rental rate in order to retain that tenant. So you may have just opened up a whole other bag of worms there that you weren't competing with originally. So be careful on how you navigate that when it comes to landlords and former property managers. Another thing you could ask for when it comes to references are any vendors, any contractors that they would allow you to reach out to. And what am I checking for on that? I'm just seeing how are they paying. Were they on time with their payments? Are they delayed? Are they behind? Have you had a lien put up against them because they didn't pay something? These are valuable questions that you can be asking, that you should be asking, really to qualify that tenant. And again, when it comes to existing locations or relocations, especially if it's like a retail space, I would go in and visit it. I'd walk in and check out what is the condition of that space, right? Is there deferred maintenance in there, right? Or is it clean? I'd go into the restroom. What's the condition of the restroom? Does it look like they've cleaned it, that the upkeep is there, or is it in disarray? And so these are just a few tips that I find to be very effective at screening tenants. Sometimes when you ask these questions, sometimes it does chase away some tenants, and that may be for the better. And so hopefully you learned a couple tricks here. And if there's something that you do that works great, I'd love to hear it.